Good day, it's Carl from Studio Incar. This is Steve's G42 220i. Main complaint from him was that it lacked any form of significant volume. Okay, so just no output, basically, as most BMWs out there are. Getting volume from a system is one of the simplest things we can do. Adding amplification does exactly what it says on the tin. It makes little things big, therefore it makes them louder. Doing it safely and making it sound good is the art of what we do. So yeah, let's have a little look around. Jamie's left the boot apart on this one so that I can show you what we've got going on. We've designed and printed a mount so we can pretty much just take this system in and out if we wanted to. We're never going to do that, but it also allows for a more OEM fit. There's a lot of loom in there because it's right next to the OEM RAM amplifier, so all the breakout looms and stuff are in there. But let's take a little look. Hope the light works out alright for you in here. It's a little dark. As you can see, we've got DSP amplifier down here, small mono amplifier there, all of the looms and integration to make it work, some fusing up top, and then we've got an 8-inch passive sub box in here. So there's a couple of choices that have been made in this one just based on experience from a couple of previous installs. We're getting a bit of noise on active boxes and I don't like it. It won't fly here. We want our subs to be quiet unless we want them doing something, alright? So the sort of more basic active sub boxes that have been coming out lately, the amplifiers haven't been able to reject things like tracking signals and GPS signals and 5G signals and stuff like that, so we just stop using them. We use mono amplifiers, which, you know, the mono amplifier we've used in here is a relatively entry product, but it's got plenty of power, plenty of shielding, exactly what we want, and it has a linear bass controller as well, so we can, or he can turn it up and down as he likes. So that's that. That goes behind that trim panel. You never see that again. The sub does go on the boot floor. You can unplug it, take it out in seconds if you want to load your kitchen in there or whatever it is that you want to do. You can just take it out, alright? Up front, we have Morel's IP BMW Fit product. Now we have some B-roll of that, I'll show you now, but that's the mid-range and tweeter in this. This already had the tweeters fitted, so this is a mid-level system from stock, and it still had, yeah, next to no output at all. And then we've got the 8-inch underseats. Now these are a bonded underseat, okay, so they're a bit of a pain in the arse. People say to heat them up. The temperature of the glue is higher than it is of the plastic, so you can make a bit of a mess getting them out, you know, but they're in there, they're fine, the enclosures are fine, everything's working good. In the center console we have one of my favourite bits of the install. This is something that Steve had on him when he turned up, and that's this little pocket here. 75 pence from AliExpress, alright, so go and look if you want one. But yeah, and you know, you just wouldn't really know that it's a cheap basic thing. And we've put our sub controller in there, you can just see it, it's a little bit dark. I mean, if you look at the finish, it's almost exactly the same. And it fits spot on. 75p, who would have thought it? But yeah, there's no functionality loss at all when you do a system like this in a BMW or Porsche or whatever it is that we do an OEM style system for. There's a couple of primary concerns. One for us is returnability. We want to be able to return it back to stock unless a client is so far down the line that they're cool with specialist stuff and they have us make pillars and stuff like that. And even in that case, we usually get the client to buy or have in stock at least a new set of pillars at the time that we do the installation, so that when we do revert at some point, because lads do change their cars quite often, we can, you know, completely take them back to standard and replace those panels. Another is usability, alright? We don't want to change the way the car works at all. In this we've added a bass controller. It's always nice to have a simple knob to raise and lower bass. It plays out usually that the largest thing that you would want to adjust would be bass, from older recordings to new recordings and things like that. So it's always worthwhile having a bass knob. You know, a more modern dance track, for instance, is going to have a load more weight and heft than, say, a Fleetwood Mac track from the 70s, because the products really just weren't there to record that depth, or electronic instruments weren't playing to that depth, you know. So it's not necessarily the quality of the recording, because a Fleetwood Mac album, like something like Rumours, actually recorded really well. You know, it's just that it didn't have 25 hertz bass in the album, or they weren't playing it. So anyway, it's nice to be able to adjust that. We tend not to, where we can, when we're using OEM sources like this, we only use the source. We don't tend to have a controller or a secondary streamer if it isn't required. If the car's notoriously bad, say like a Ford radio or something like that, then we usually will have a controller and a streamer, so you can have something that's dedicated for sort of high-res playback. But in a car like this, there's not that much need for it, not unless you really are you know, into sort of high-res. Yeah, so nothing about the car should change in the way that it works, alright? You should get into the car when you collect it from here, and everything still works exactly the same. It's just that you have a huge sonic upgrade. It just sounds really nice in here. It's not had tons of sound deadening. Steve had already done deadening on his boot floor, which you'll have just seen. We've put some in the doors, some in the floors with the underseat sort of clamshell design in this car. But that's about it. You know, it's not the sort of system level that requires a ton of sound deadening just yet. We'll see if we can get him hooked on it enough. Yeah, cool car this, I love it. Grey over black, it's nice. It's a great sort of daily car, and it now sounds wicked. Anyway, I've been Carl, this is Studio Incar, and this is Steve's G42 220i. It's a great little car, and he also cleaned it before we brought it in. How lovely. Right, take it easy.